Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter has a couple special guests, Creighton Waters and Attorney General Alan Wilson. Chanley, back to you.
Thanks so much, Ted. That's right. I'm here outside the courthouse with the Attorney General of South Carolina, Alan Wilson, and of course, Creighton Waters prosecution team. A big part of the prosecution team against Alex Murdaugh. I'm going to start with your reaction. I'm going to start with you. Verdict, double conviction, and then the maximum sentence today by Judge Newman.
First off, tip of the hat to my chief prosecutor of the state grand jury, Creighton Waters, and his team. I watched the men and women down there working for the last year and a half on this case, and I got to live with them literally for the last month and a half as we prosecuted this case. We are so elated because this was the legal equivalent of storming the beaches of Normandy. I mean, it was just a major campaign, you know, a war campaign. It was just the logistics, the complexity, the 18-hour days, a little sleep, a little eating, and that everyone, we didn't kill each other. I think we could say that's a good thing, but I'm just so proud of our office. I'm proud of our partner agencies that were involved, SLED, Colleton County, and others. And so many people, Chanley, thought that there were people in society, in this area of the state, in this area of the country, who were above the law. And it was so important to me for us to send a message that no one is above the law. And Creighton and his team did a fantastic job in that. Tip of the hat to them. Sure.
Creighton, your reaction. I mean, this is, you know, as we're at Court TV, a lot of attorneys work at Court TV. We kind of understand that it is a 24/7 job, especially in a trial like this.
Absolutely it is. And for 6 weeks, so it's been exhausting. I think I am, and I think our team is still fairly numb. I think we hadn't had a chance really to rest yet and let it sink in. I'll say this, and this was kind of a weird feeling. You know, trial lawyers tend to be superstitious. You know, I don't like to think about results and verdicts. People try to come talk to me. What do you think? I'm like, I don't want to think about it. But I was less nervous yesterday than I think I've ever been, and I don't think that was any sort of overconfidence or arrogance. I think it was just we had left everything out on the table. We had reached a point where obviously we were very tired, and then it was out of our hands. Obviously, when they came back after 3 hours, that's usually a good sign for us.
It is, and yeah, I could see in that side of the room when we were waiting for the verdict, a little upbeat over there on the prosecution side. You had a good feeling.
Yeah,
yes, we did.
100%. I mean, that short amount of time. We later learned that the jury deliberated for about 45 minutes. Well, they had assessed that 45 minutes was when they were able to get it. And then, so I mean,
is that one of the quickest consensus you guys have reached in your careers, maybe?
I've had one that was quicker than that.
Okay.
And I think that they told me later that they were waiting to get their pizza before they came.
So was that trial 6 weeks long?
It was not.
That's true. That's another good point.
It's over a week.
Did you guys get to speak to these jurors?
No, and I really want to.
Okay.
I saw them in the courtroom today, the sentencing, obviously. I was hoping some of them would walk up to us. We've been very respectful of their space and their privacy, but I would love to, and as a prosecutor, I mean, Creighton's in the trenches every day. I'm running the agency, but I remember back when I was a line prosecutor, I'd always want to go talk to the judge's law clerk, court reporter, and the jurors to say, hey, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Sure. What could we do better next time? You know, what appealed to you? Because you're always trying to improve on your craft. And if there's a juror watching this, I hope they seek us out. I'd love to talk to them.
Absolutely. I'm sure they would like to talk to you guys as well. There was one juror who actually spoke publicly this morning and pointed to the kennel video. Yeah. How important was that piece of evidence to this case?
I think it made all the difference in the world. I mean, this is evidence that's hard to deny significance. When you have the defendant present at the scene of the crime with the two victims minutes before they die, and he lies about it. That's just so very compelling. And, you know, obviously I think that was very crucial. It was the main piece of evidence in the case. And it was not, you know, uncovered until April of 2022.
I was going to say that. Did that lead to the indictment here ultimately in the end? And do you think you could have gotten this conviction without that video?
Well, no, it was very clearly, it was very compelling evidence. Now, we had the timeline evidence, and there were certainly, you know, witnesses who had talked about that. But that's different. You know, Alec, you heard him on his own statement, be confronted with that particular, the information that person said. I thought I heard him on the call. And he's like, well, I'd be surprised. You know, I think he'd be wrong. And you know this, witnesses are a lot easier to challenge. The video, you can't challenge it. And it was only after You know, the state, people may have wondered, why did you keep playing that video and have people say, oh, that's him, that's him, that's him? Well, that was the reason. I mean, there needed to be no question in the jury's mind, and ultimately, that forced Alec to tell a new lie that clearly the jury was not impressed by.
Which you emphasized on that cross-examination over and over again in that wording. Speaking of, did you guys expect him to take the stand? Did you know? Did you have a feeling?
Absolutely. I think the second that they put in a defense exhibit, I knew that was going to happen, but I also knew who this individual was. He had been able to talk his way out of trouble. He had been able to avoid accountability all his life. It was very clear that he felt like this is his community, his people, and he was going to be able to look them in the eye and convince them of this story. But here's the difference here, and this is why I did the cross-examination the way I did. I wanted to get him talking. I wanted him to run his mouth as long as he could. I had pauses on purpose because he couldn't stand it. He would start talking on his own. That's not a typical cross-examination, but this is a different draw. I started out constructive and then went destructive. I wanted him to talk because I knew that he would look that jury in the eye and be so convincing and compelling, and then he was going to talk on cross-examination, and they were going to realize he can lie to me too. And I think that's what happened.
This guy made a very successful career out of convincing juries to believe him. And I was telling someone right before Creighton went up there for the cross, this is Alex's last closing argument to the jury. And again, he was very successful. So I do believe he believed that he could convince them of his new timeline.
You know, Creighton, you keep saying he could talk his way out of trouble. What other situations had he had in his life that he was able to avoid the accountability? That was a big theme from you guys.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, first of all, we have that long list over a decade of clients and staff at his own law firm and his own partners and all the people he's interacting with, that he's able to consistently fast talk and get them to not question or not realize that he's robbing them blind as he looks them in the eye and smiles at them. And in many instances, they're thanking him as they go out the door while he is stealing from them. So there's that whole history. But I think, you know, and this is not necessarily stuff that was in evidence, but if you look at the history of his life, the prominence here, sort of the scion of this prominent family, and I think that he was able to rely on that over the years to avoid accountability. Things came easy to him because of who he was and the family that he was part of. And I want to say this, I knew his father, Mr. Randolph. I worked a case with him, and so this is not all to be critical of him. I think Alec took this to another level. He felt entitled. Fundamentally, it's narcissistic.
You heard during the testimony in the trial how he would go to Miss Shelley and he would go to Rogan, and you know he would try to control and manage the lies and manage the people he needed to buy into his lies. Go back and look at, you know, watch the stories about the boat case. Where he shows up at the hospital and he's managing things. He's people's attorney.
His badge showing, as you guys
He's got his badge
out.
Flipped out. He's showing up. I'm so-and-so's attorney, and you know the person's like, no, they're not my attorney. I mean, he's always been able to manage a crisis and escape it. And I believe that he felt he can manage this.
Right. Now, as prosecutors, you know, when a defendant takes the stand, that's kind of what you live for, right? And prepare for that. Was there anything that surprised you guys that came out in his testimony that maybe you didn't expect?
I think the thing that hung him up a little bit was he wasn't expecting the blue light question and the badge hanging out of his pocket question. And that, I think, became crucial because you could see him do it. And we were able to show that to the jury when I talked about them getting a firsthand view of him creating a lie on the fly, and that's what he had to do, and he did it so easily and convincingly. But of course, in reply, we were able to show that it was a lie.
There were two long pauses you got out of him. One was that, and the other one was the 4 minutes between 9:02 and 9:06. And like when Creighton said, "You're a busy bee," you know, you could tell he paused because he was thinking, "Oh my God, I've got to think of something."
And he couldn't, and in that instance, he really couldn't. He couldn't tell us why he's running around at that period of time making all these phone calls. He could remember all these other details, but not that. And obviously the jury's not going to find that credible. I think I asked him if he was on a treadmill, but
right.
Jumping jacks.
Do you think that was the turning point of this trial, or that maybe turned the momentum, or did you guys always have the momentum, or is there another piece or part of this trial that sticks out to you that may have sealed the deal?
I'll let you go first. I got one.
Yeah, I think that it was. I think that we had I think we had momentum and we were making good progress, and I think that we still would have prevailed. But I think that any jurors that still were, I mean, obviously they don't deliberate until they get back there, but obviously I think that became key. And so in the end, when they went back and deliberated, as they thought through all the evidence, and then they get to Alec and the fact that they clearly believed he looked them in the eye and lied, that obviously probably for some of them, I don't know, but probably for some of them took it over the top. So I think that was a turning point.
You have a situation the night of the murder where you got a 1,700-acre farm. The murderer has to be familiar with a 1,700-acre farm. They have to intimately familiar where the kennels are compared to the house. They have to be intimately familiar with the schedules of Paul and Maggie, who were not staying there every night, rarely staying there. They also, you had a gun, a family-owned gun that was used that we were able to prove forensically. So you got a family-owned gun, intimate knowledge of their comings and goings, intimate knowledge of the property, and you have, and Creighton did a great job, you have the fact that he is there at, I think you got to admit, up to 8:47, and the murders start in the 8:49 minute, and 2 minutes before. And one thing that stuck out to me is that at no point, I heard Marion Proctor say, I regret encouraging Maggie to go be with him that night because he called to have her there. He lied about that.
Right.
But I never heard Alex say, I regret leaving the kennels 2 minutes before my wife and my son were butchered. Never, no regret.
That was, I think, a powerful moment in your first close when you said, why wasn't he saying, yes, I was there, and I wish I had been there longer.
If only I had been there.
If
only I had been
like
there.
maybe could have helped or saved them.
Yeah. I think that that's the natural reaction of any person, innocent, who's in that situation, and I think that stuck out to us as well.
And it's such one, you made an appearance. A lot of people think Attorney General, you show people that you know how to work a courtroom.
Yeah, some of the best compliments I got were from people who aren't very complimentary of me. Sometimes they said, ma'am, I thought you were a politician. I remind people that it was my career in prosecution that led me to this job, and I love being a prosecutor. I love being around prosecutors. But I didn't come down here to play a role in the trial. I came down here to support the staff, to be with them in the trenches, to help Creighton as much as I could. We were up late at night, sharing ideas, pass notes to them during the case, pass notes to the others. As the trial went on and on and on, and I could tell it was wearing on Creighton, it was wearing on the team. I went to him a couple times. I said, Creighton, I'm not going to order you. I'm not going to tell you to, but if I can help you, let me know. Creighton came and said, hey, do you want to take this last witness? It would really help me out and focus on the closing, and that's how I got in there.
And it was an important witness, Dr. Kinsey.
It was very important, but the general, again, and I know this because I've been in the office a while, he has been a line-level trial prosecutor. We've worked very complex cases where he's providing leadership, but he's got good insights. I obviously was wrecked after 2 days across and heading into this final week. And he was focused, and I joked earlier I got to be the boss of the boss just for a little while, and just on this this one subject matter, but it was a great decision because he aced it.
When I delegate I told Creighton one time, I think the analogy I used was, I'm FDR, you're Eisenhower. I'm not going to come and tell you how to storm the beaches in Normandy, but I might visit. And Creighton was very gracious to let me, I didn't force it. He let me do it, and I was glad to do it, and I was honored to be part of the team and to be there, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of not just the attorneys, the staff. It was amazing.
And I have to say that again. This was a team effort.
Yes.
I'm so fortunate to work with this team, state grand jury. We do complex investigations all the time. Everybody on this team that I'm fortunate enough to lead has different skills, and you saw them all, whether attorneys or staff, their contributions. It's not me, it's not him, and I can't leave out my law enforcement partners.
Yes.
SLED did a great job in this case. Carlton did a great job in this case. We had federal help. We had help from Orangeburg, Charleston, and so there was a great team effort. I want to thank Chief Keel. We've had agents down here all this time, and these are people. This is my favorite part of the job, is working closely with the team that I have, the court staff.
Yes, court staff.
Just part of this team, just working closely with the state grand jury team and with law enforcement. It was a great win.
They're telling me I have to wrap, unfortunately, in my ear. But real quick before I send it back to you, Ted, just how Judge Newman handled sentencing today. I'm sure you guys are pleased justice served with life sentences.
I'm so grateful that he did it. Again, he was an exclamation point on the end of a very long trial that sent a message to South Carolina that no one is above the law. Thank you, Judge Newman.
Thank you. Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ted, for allowing me to interview these rock stars here on the ground in South Carolina. And we have more we mentioned Dr. Kinsey, and of course, that testimony. We'll have more of that coming up later for you as well, Ted.
Yeah, we thank A.G. Wilson, Creighton Waters, and of course, you, Chanley. We're going to get a break in here, and much more ahead as we continue to react to the verdicts in Colleton County, South Carolina. Alex Murdaugh sentenced today to 2 life sentences. Back with more right after this.